It's been an entire year since I started coloring. That was back in July of 2024. I'll be briefly going over my coloring from some of the earlier pages to how things look now. I started with cartoon characters I liked as a kid because I thought that would bring me joy and trigger more childhood memories as I got used to coloring again. The first coloring book that I purchased on Amazon was Stress Relief Bold Easy Coloring Book by Coco Wyo, but I wasn't sure that I would like it, and it looked a little bit childish, and I thought, this book's got to be too easy. Well, when I finally got it, it wasn't that easy, and I wasn't that good at coloring, but I did get better the more I colored. One of the first few pages I did in this stress relief coloring book, and it was also one of the first that I tried to do a blending technique with the markers on the background. It turned out okay, but I had no idea what I was doing since I was just starting out coloring. This cupcake page was one of the pages very early on that I started coloring, and you can tell that I was not using quality markers because you can see all kinds of lines, and it just really doesn't look that good. I love scary movies and horror movies, so last year I decided to do a theme before Halloween of coloring popular scary movies. Most of the pages I just printed off from a website that had printable coloring pages, and you can see that I wasn't using good quality markers, and some of my shading and coloring just wasn't up to par at that time. And I think I've pretty much colored a little each week since I started, and you can tell just by the pages that I've colored that they have improved over time. And by the beginning of this year, the first few months of the year, you can already tell how much things have changed for me by just simply practicing. So if you're starting to color yourself and you're getting a little discouraged because things aren't looking that good and you don't feel like you're progressing, just give yourself a little time and they will look spectacular in no time. And now everyone's favorite part, which is the questions and the answers. And I'll be answering questions related to coloring for the last year. Why did you start coloring? Well, I noticed other adults doing it, and I thought, if coloring is actually a thing for adults, then I'm all in. So I decided to try it and use it as sort of a stress reliever for myself, and it has worked out pretty well. It's very relaxing and just something I can put my mind to and be creative with color. The next question is, how many books do you have? And I have a total of 20. However, I've donated a few and gotten rid of some that I absolutely did not like because of the page quality or maybe just some of the designs in the book. So currently I have 20. What are your favorite completed pages? Well, these two are my favorite pages. I've mentioned several times in previous videos that the unicorn is my absolute favorite just because it reminds me of my childhood bedroom when I had unicorns in it decorating the curtains and my bedspread, and my favorite color was purple and still is. And the fish house is one of my favorite pages as well, simply because I love how I shaded this page. The unicorn on the left was done in colored pencils, and the fish house on the right was done in alcohol markers. So that's my favorite of each medium. What is your most colored in book? Cozy Cuties would be the book that I've colored in the most. For some reason, the pages in this book, I love the paper quality because my markers seem to just glide over the pages like butter. And I've colored quite a few in this book, which I'm really surprised. What is your least favorite coloring book? Well, that would be the Mythomorphia, unfortunately. I bought this book at a used bookstore thinking I would get myself out of my comfort zone and try new things and pages that I probably wouldn't normally color. I've colored a few pages in this book, but it's just not any that I've really enjoyed. I've really struggled trying to find the right colors, and it's probably not a book that I'm going to color in a whole lot more either. What coloring accessory have you used the most? That would be the blending markers from Hobby Lobby, and I've been through several packs of these. I like to use them on colored pencils. It just makes the colored pencil a little more brighter and smooths everything together so neatly. But like I've said, I've bought so many packs of these, but it is truly my favorite coloring accessory. Are there any books you regret buying? Yes, and that would be, again, the Mythomorphia, because it was sort of subject matter that I'm not used to. Even though I was trying to get myself out of my comfort zone, it was really subjects that I just didn't enjoy. And also some of the books that I got from Five Below when I first started coloring, I really wasn't thinking about actually enjoying the pages that I was coloring. I just found cheap books and went crazy, I guess, and just bought a bunch that when I got them home, I really shouldn't have bought them because it was things that I just didn't like coloring. I chose a lot of really big books that had big pages with lots to color on them, and those became a little overwhelming too. So one tip that I might suggest is if you're starting out coloring, buy smaller pages. What is your most favorite video that you've made? That would be one called Coloring My Memories. It did not get a lot of views, and it was, I think, a little early on when I was still trying to figure out the whole coloring thing and making videos and trying to talk through a story. But I was really proud of this video because I talked about a childhood memory, and it really brought back a lot of things growing up that I hadn't thought of in years. How much have you spent on coloring supplies in 2025? Well, I'm not really sure I can estimate on what I think I've bought. I've not really bought a lot of coloring books. I know I've bought a few packs of the Ohuhu Markers, but I'm just going to take an estimate and say probably around $300. What are some goals that you have for coloring for the rest of 2025? I've not really thought about coloring as far as having goals. It's just something I do when I have time. But if I really get to thinking about it, it would be stop rushing through coloring pages, to take my time, and to stop planning so much. I tend to plan the crap out of coloring pages sometimes, trying to pick the right colors before I get started. And I think if I just have fun coloring and enjoy the moment and just stop planning and stop trying to rush through pages, I can probably color a lot better. I do try to take my time on pages, but I'm not one of those people that can spend days on the same coloring page because I get bored and I want to move on to another page. That's why I don't do a lot of details or maybe shading. Which do you like best, alcohol markers or colored pencils? Well, that's a tough one. I take spells where I enjoy working with the markers, and I work with the markers for a while, and then I'll put those down, and I'll get the colored pencils out and work with those for a few weeks. It just really depends on what mood I'm in. I don't know that I have a favorite because it tends to change quite often. What tips do you have for someone that is just starting to color? For anyone that wants to start coloring, my advice would be just start coloring. Grab yourself a coloring book that you think you would like coloring, some inexpensive coloring pencils or some markers, and just start. It's the easiest hobby you can begin. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the pages where I first started coloring and the pages where I am today. I hope this motivates you to start coloring if you're not coloring yourself. Maybe it'll help you de-stress, have some fun, and just release your inner creativity.